Hey yo, how's it going? SixftHax here. Happy y'all today. Week number 6 of GBA Season 9. Now, originally this should have gone up on Sunday, but Lars was busy with IRL stuff, so he couldn't upload it on Sunday, which I was fine with. So he pushed it back to Monday, but even though he got his side up, I had a very busy Monday, and I was not able to narrate it and upload it in time. So hopefully this will be going up on Tuesday. And yeah, I'm gonna try and be back on schedule with the GBA stuff. But if you guys do enjoy the video, you know what to do. And I did kind of upload somewhat of a team builder for this game. The reason why I say that is that because Lars is a person that I'm very positive is going to make playoffs. I believe currently he is 5-0. If I'm not mistaken, we are 4-1. So if we can beat Lars here, we can not only end another streak for the season, but that would also, I believe, put us in the #1 spot for overall in the season so far, this GBA. Regardless, though, he does have a very scary team, and I did go over the team matchup a little bit in the actual team builder itself. Going into this game, though, I was very surprised to see that he did not have the Kieran Black. He actually ended up having a little bit more of an offensive team than I had originally expected, because with him leading off with Deoxys here, I figured that he most likely would want to try and just get up his hazards immediately. Deoxys attack in this matchup does not really pose that much of an offensive threat against me, so that's why I just decided to go straight for the gyro ball here, trying to potentially break any type of focus sash, and then from there, even if he gets up rocks, I can at least stop him from getting up way too many layers of spikes against me. But he decides to actually go for the signal beam, which means I'm able to knock him out, and he does get a bit of damage off of me. As in comes the Mega Manetric, I have a perfect answer to this in the form of my Nidoking. This Nidoking is specifically made to deal with this Mega Manetric. There should be no chance that this ever 3-hit KOs me, if I'm not mistaken. So I switch in expecting him to want to go for an overheat, but he reveals to have the flamethrower, and I'm thinking that this is probably going to be my best chance to try and get up a 1-up on Lars. As I expect him to switch out here, I go for the Ice Beam instead of going for something like the Earth Power, and he crits me with what I'm assuming is to be Hidden Power Ice, which really sucks because this means that my Nidoking does not live 2 hits, which I would have been able to if he didn't crit me. So down I go, and I guess going for the Ice Beam was a bit of an odd play, while Earth Power, I guess, was my better play in the long run, just because realistically he wouldn't want to bring in a Landorus or a Jirachi into my Nidoking. I figured that even if I could live that initial hit, I can go for a different move and then potentially Earth Power from there. As I bring in my Cresselia, he Volt switches into his Kofagrigus here. As I do a decent little bit of damage, I'm going to try and go for the Shadow Ball to see exactly what he wants to try and do to me, as he does end up having the Ghost Weakening Berry, which I assume was for my Marshadow, as he then goes for the Trick Room. So I'm pretty positive I can live any 1 hit, and depending on his EV spread, maybe 2 hits, to the point where he could put me in range of my berry. But that first Shadow Ball does way too much damage, so unless I want to stay in and potentially live on a very low roll, then it's in my best interest to switch out here, as I try to bring in my Ferrothorn, hoping that I could live any 2 hits. Turns out that he actually ends up going for the Memento, which I was not expecting whatsoever, and at this point I'm starting to get a little bit scared, because as you can see here, he ends up bringing in Azumaril. Another thing he could have also potentially brought in was a set of Landorus. So as he brings in Azumaril here, I know I cannot knock him out and prevent him from going for this belly drum, so I'm going to try to get off as much damage as I possibly can, as he barely ends up living after the belly drum, and he gets his Citrus Berry. But he switches out here, which I don't really know why he did that. Like, in the current moment of the battle, I had no idea why he switched out Azumaril. I'm figuring that maybe he wanted to save it as death fodder. And the reason why I went for my stealth rocks here was because if he did go for an offensive move after going for that belly drum, because of my iron barbs, the Azumaril would have been in range of my Mars Shadow regardless, or potentially my Mega Medicham. So I figured if anything, I can at least get up rocks to help me out for the remainder of the battle here, as he brings in the Mega Manetric on the switch. It turns out that Flamethrower does not knock out Cresselia after rocks, even if this Mega Manetric is modest, and I'm able to activate my 50% berry, which allows me to go for the Shadow Ball. I thought about potentially going for either the Thunder Wave or the Moon Blast, but I figured Shadow Ball hit everything pretty decently, and even if he brought in Jirachi here, as you can see, I did do a nice amount of damage. But it turns out that he has the Healing Wish, which means now Azumaril comes back in, and once again I am very scared of that Azumaril, and I hope that he does not end up outspeeding my Cresselia here, and that maybe I can try to get off a Thunder Wave on him, because that gives me a chance to at least potentially risk him being fully paralyzed, which is going to benefit me immensely in this type of scenario here. But as I go for the Thunder Wave, he doesn't get paralyzed, and he goes for the belly drum. And now this next turn, I guess what I could have done was actually just sacked off my Ferrothorn, now that I think about it. But I figured that it wasn't that big of an issue if I really lose my Cresselia here, just because I still have a good amount of offense in the back. Although realistically, that Mega Manetric is a giant issue if it turns out to outspeed the entirety of my team. As I bring in Mars Shadow here, Shadow Sneak will be able to knock him out, as down it goes. And speaking of the Mega Manetric, I believe it does come out here. Yes, this is a bit of a problem, because if he crits me or he paralyzes me as I get fully paralyzed, then I could potentially lose this battle. But thankfully, Mars Shadow is well trained, and the Undertaker does not play games. We're gonna tombstone that Mega Manetric, and down it goes, as in comes Lars's last mon, which is this Landorus. I make a bit of a dumb play here, and I go for the Rock Tomb. This is really stupid on my end, if I'm being honest. I should have definitely gone for the Spectral Thief, or if anything, at least the Shadow Sneak, in case I thought that maybe he was scarfed Landorus, or if he could have been Rock Polish. I think I was fearing maybe Calm Mind Landorus, like that could have been a little bit scary potentially, but even then I think I still could have been able to deal with it with the remainder of my mons. Luckily, Darkrai is also well trained, and I don't make a dumb play here, as I go for the Dark Pulse and to a KO the Landorus. So good game to Lars there. We end another streak, which is amazing, and we also take over the #1 seed currently in the GBA, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say, like, I'm 90% sure that we are #1 right now, but feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Regardless though, good game to Lars. Next week we face off against Necrostivo, another player we've never faced before, so I'm really excited for that. And if you guys did enjoy the video, then you know what to do. I will see you all later. So later, everybody.
Cause my brain and heart are both tied in the knot, and this hinders me from crying a lot. This causing me to show no emotion. But when I said I cared, I wasn't joking. But I guess it's too late for me to become broken. For now, I'm living with no more pain, tears, or hoping. I'm just coasting. Yeah, I said I'm coasting. No more pain, tears, and hoping. For real.